All right, so that video I did on that 4 gigabyte chip got a bunch of interesting comments the other day. So I did a video where I was just wondering, hey, what is this chip that says 4 GB that the webcam goes through in the middle of the motherboard? It's just something I haven't seen on other boards and I was genuinely curious about. I got a lot of interesting trolls on saying gigabytes instead of gigabits, and I would just like to say, if you scroll to U4000 on that schematic, you will see 4, capital G, capital B. Now you can make the point that everything on that page is capitalized, but again, it's one of those things, it's just the way my brain registers things. If I see 4 GB and GB is exhibited with 2 capital letters, regardless of the context, my brain jumps to gigabyte. The same way that I imagine it will for most people who are not Googling that. So if I Google that specific chip, I'll figure out that it's gigabit. But it's just not something that kind of happens in your head. Like, I'm not going to say, let me Google every single time I see gigabyte mentioned in GB in capital letters just to see if they actually meant gigabit. But the really interesting part of that video were a lot of the people who were saying that I'm being a conspiracy theorist. And I thought I would comment on this for a moment. Personally speaking, I don't have the tape over the webcam in any of my laptops. I don't do that. I don't think that I'm interesting enough for other people to want to watch me. If the NSA wants to watch me watch porn or make YouTube videos or look at schematics, they're welcome to. I feel like they're going to be bored to ship. The point I want to bring, there's 2 points I want to bring up here when it comes to that whole tape over the webcam thing, because this is an interesting subject. The first is my personal theory on it is this. You know how a lot of those webcams have that little green light that shows up, whether it's a MacBook or an old Lenovo? They have the light that comes on when the webcam is being used. I believe, personally, that these manufacturers are so cheap that they're not going to implement some type of special webcam where when you turn it on, the light comes on, but when the NSA turns it on, the light doesn't come on. I believe that that webcam is set up to where when it's capturing video and it's being powered on, that it's always going to have a green light. See, my opinion, yeah, I could be wrong here. I've never gone through the webcam circuit. In my opinion, I would believe that that's set up to where the light is always going to be green when it's on. So you're going to know when it's on. I don't think that on a MacBook, I really don't believe on a MacBook there's any way to actually turn that webcam on without you explicitly turning it on. Because there have been cases, I remember reading this on a Boy Genius Report article a long time ago, where they were fucking with people and they were turning the camera on. It was some school or some organization that was purposely turning the camera on for some nefarious reason, and the green light was always on. So it's like even hackers can't figure out how to turn that green light off. I don't think you have much to worry about there. But the more important point that I want to get across here, again, I personally, I don't put the tape over the webcam. I don't think anybody's watching. Even if somebody is going through all the effort to hack me when I'm not really doing anything that's going to liken me to getting hacked, even if they get their way in, who the fuck wants to watch me sit in front of a computer all day? Anyway, in spite of all that, I think people are focusing on the wrong thing. Because if you really believe that there is a risk of you being watched to the point where you're putting tape over your computer, here's what I would suggest. Take out the microphone as well. Because I see it as like one of 2 ways. It's like you're either going to be paranoid enough or cautious enough that you're going to put tape over your webcam and remove the microphone, or you're not going to care and you're going to leave the tape, no tape on the camera, but leave the microphone in there. But I don't understand why somebody would leave the microphone in their laptop but put tape over the camera. Because I would argue that if you're going to get in trouble or if somebody's going to fuck with you, that it would be far easier for them to fuck with you based on audio than it would be for them to fuck with you based on visuals. Because again, if I were to say something like, I hate this guy, I hope he fucking dies. If I say that and you hear it, and then that guy dies tomorrow, you could use that audio to then potentially, make a case against me in some way, shape, or form and make me a suspect. Whereas if I go, you can't really do much with that without the audio, you understand? So when I think about what I can get in trouble for, you may laugh at the silly hand movements I make, or if I'm playing with my cat while my cat's on the floor and shit like that, you may be able to laugh at some of the silly things that I do if you're able to see me all the time and I don't know that you're watching me. But for the most part, it's just going to be a couple of laughs here and there. But the things that I say in the comfort of my home, the conversations that I have with loved ones or friends over new topics, or the arguments that I have, or or the things that I say when I'm heated, when I don't think other people are around, those are the things that I could get in serious shit for. And those are the things that I see that all the people who put the tape over the webcam are not considering. If you believe that there's a possibility that somebody on the other end is watching you, why are you going to let that person listen to you? Just something to think about. If you're going to put the, again, I'm not one of the people who puts the tape over the webcam. I just don't do that. I don't see a need for it. I don't care. Even I don't believe anybody's watching me. If they are watching me, you know, again, enjoy watching me listen to Tori Amos concerts and pet my cat, but I think it's going to be pretty fucking boring. I don't believe any of that shit is happening. And I certainly don't believe, with the bullshit Time Warner internet that I have where I can barely load a YouTube video or make a fucking phone call, that they're live streaming HD video from my webcam. I just don't see the logistics of it. I don't see how it can work. I don't see it happening. So I don't care. I just don't. I was genuinely interested in what that chip is for, but I'm not a conspiracy theorist. But what I'm going to say here is that if you think you're being watched, then maybe you should think about whether you're being listened to as well. Why are you going to disable the camera but allow the microphone to work? When again, if you're doing anything wrong or you're saying anything bad, and if you're doing something wrong, there's probably a lot more that you could be prosecuted for. There's probably a lot more that you could be humiliated for or fired over from listening to what you have to say rather than just watching. Just one of those things I'm throwing out there. If you're going to put the tape over the webcam, take the microphone out, or just don't bother. Because you're far more likely to get fucked over based on something you say than based on any of that. Again, it doesn't matter how silly you look, matters the shit you say. That's what's going to get you. Just my thought. And the last thing I want to go over, which I forgot to go over before the battery in the camera died, is when you're thinking about this idea that the camera could turn on and it could record me at any moment. Go back to what I said about the light going on. The light itself can go on, and when the light goes on, you will know that the camera is on. So if the camera is recording or capturing video and processing that over to your CPU, the light is on. You know that. However, when the microphone is on or the microphone is actively recording, there's not necessarily going to be a notification. Your microphone doesn't have a little green light that pops up as soon as it starts recording. So you're focusing so much on the part of the computer that is going to tell you immediately when somebody else is accessing it. Yet people focus no attention at all to the part of their computer that is not going to tell them when someone has tapped into it. And the other thing I want you to think about here, just in terms of bandwidth, since I mentioned Time Warner, I mentioned how I don't really care because, again, if I try to stream video, and I'm actually trying to stream video from work, my internet is so shit that I can't do it. I have times where my own voice over IP system barely works because of 400 millisecond ping times and packet loss, and times where my upstream is 80 kilobits per second or less. It's really hard to transfer video. It's really hard to encode real-time HD video, store real-time HD video, transfer HD video, but it's really easy to transfer audio. Transferring audio takes virtually no bandwidth compared to transferring video. And again, it just blows my mind that people will hyper-focus on the video, but then not put any effort at all into the audio. And again, I'm not saying that you should put tape over it, nor am I saying that you're a worse person because you put tape over the webcam or any of that. All I'm saying is I'm suggesting you either go all the way with it and get rid of every part of your laptop that may be able to, perform surveillance on you, or don't bother with any of it at all. And that's that.